Hello and welcome. If you are new here, my name is Soph, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the new changes with Instagram in 2025, especially as it relates to things like search and, of course, marketing for your business. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We post content every single week going over all things for digital marketing, business, and of course, search engine optimization. Now, in this video, I want to break down the changes that we're seeing with Instagram, talking about some of the big updates and announcements made by the head of Instagram, Adam Missouri, and also, of course, referencing some lovely data and statistics because those are important. And more importantly, what you should be doing in 2025 and beyond to make the most out of Instagram, to grow your business, to engage with your audience, and of course, to most importantly, get found. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. Now, if you've been following me for any time, then you would know that I've spent the last 5-6 years really moving away from social media, especially platforms like Instagram and Facebook, because I found that in 2019, 2020, it was a lot of content creation with very little long-term payback. Now, in recent years, that has started to shift, especially with the introduction of AI and as algorithms on these platforms has continued to evolve. So fast forward to 2025, what we're going to be talking about are those big changes with the algorithm, how that shifted from just being on likes and comments to what actually matters in today's world on Instagram, and more importantly, how that ties into the longevity of your content versus how it lasted back in 2019, 2020. So here's what you need to remember. Circa 2017, 2019, the biggest things that existed on Instagram were basically photos and videos. And they weren't reels, they were very long form videos and are videos that you were creating to upload to it. They even had a thing called IGTV at one point, didn't go anywhere. But the biggest things that I want to highlight here in 2017 through 2019, your feed was essentially looking at chronological content based on engagement with likes and comments, and of course, a ton of hashtags. Now, over the years, that platform has continued to evolve, and the way that the algorithm is continuing to get smarter and smarter no longer looks at those metrics the same. Now, fast forward to 2025, and one of the things that the head of Instagram, Adam Missouri, has recently shared in his videos, which again, we'll link in the description and also you can check it out here, has been the move from likes and comments being the main metrics of really reach and engagement to focusing more on things like, is the content being saved and is it being shared inside of DMs with other people in the platform? And so those are the things that we're starting to look at, which means it's not so much about the vanity metrics of are people liking the content and are they commenting on it, but are they actually saving it? Are they coming back to it? Are they sharing it and sending it? And these tend to be more important metrics that the platform is looking at on top of the actual engagement and watch time of the content. Now, one thing that you have to remember that has been consistent from the birth of Instagram and every social media platform, that the main goal is to keep users consistently engaged and on the platform. And of course, we go really deep into this when we talk about things like the attention merchant business model, still relevant today, but of course we want to look at how we're using Instagram more intentionally and strategically. But if the main goal is to keep people on the platform, and that is one of the things that Instagram is looking for, it's going to, of course, reward content creators who are producing content that keeps people engaged, that has them sharing it, that has them looking at it again and again, referencing it. And those are the things that it's saying, cool, this is quality content. Now, if we're looking at what the engagement metrics are, the next thing that we need to look at is how is your content actually getting found? And of course, we're going to reference 2019 to today. So 2019, 2017, 2018, back in my day, Instagram was big on hashtags. Everything was about hashtags, hashtag matrix, hashtag hacks, hashtag. And of course, everybody was doing this thing that I would call hashtag stuffing, similar to the concept of keyword stuffing on your content to try to get it to show up on the feed. Now, over the years, Instagram has definitely evolved. It's not the same that it was in 2019, and it's definitely not a Google search engine just yet. But one of the things that the head of Instagram, Adam Missouri, has talked about is how they are starting to incorporate more SEO components into the content. And so one of the things that you want to look out for here, and we're going to break down the key points that have been referenced, have been mentioned that are important, is how you are setting up your content, your profile based on what you want to be found for. If you have no idea what SEO is, what search engine optimization is, how it even works, then that's okay. There's plenty of content we have on our channel, so be sure to check that out inside of our digital marketing playlist. But in this video, I'm just going to highlight the biggest things that we're seeing with Instagram based on what's been shared. All right, so let's start with the basics and actually setting up your profile for success. Prior to 2025, the way that Instagram would basically look at your content was really about pieces of content that you would put on your feed and of course the hashtags that you would use. Fast forward to today, the big big things that you want to look at are the keywords, the actual key terms that you're putting into your title, your name, your bio, and of course, your location. These are all different variables that are going to impact your ability to get found through search on Instagram. Now, for instance, if I'm somebody who's looking for a fitness coach for PCOS, popular topic, sorry if you've been watching my videos lately, I'm going to be typing that into Instagram and searching for PCOS fitness coach. And of course, the accounts that are going to pop up, the content that's going to pop up is going to be the content and the users who have those key terms, those keywords in their title, in the description, in their bio, in their name, and even potentially in their actual handle. Now, the handle isn't as important in my personal opinion as the actual name and the actual description and your bio are. Those are going to be the variables that the algorithm is actually looking at, say, cool, this platform or this profile is going to be categorized as fitness PCOS because it has those key terms in there. Now, if you don't know what a keyword is, it's essentially the words that you're using inside of any piece of content that you're creating. So if you are targeting people who want to find somebody to help them with PCOS and fitness coaching for PCOS, those are essentially your keywords, or key phrases. So you're going to use those inside of your content, inside of the actual description of your profile, and of course, inside of the actual captions, in which we'll get into in a second. So that's going to be the first thing. Now, when somebody goes to Instagram and they're using Instagram to search for content, if you have your actual profile and bio optimized, you do have more chances of actually getting found regardless of your audience size and your current engagement. This is huge because, again, back in 2019, 2018, this wasn't a thing. It was all about how connected you were and the way in which you continue to push content. So now you have more opportunity to actually get found versus always having to push out new content. Now let's get into the next thing, which is going to be the variable of your actual content you're creating. So your reels, your captions, your photos, your videos, etc. So I actually found this really interesting. I didn't know that they released this recently, but there's actually the ability in today's world where AI and algorithms can now take what it is that you're saying in your videos, so the actual audio, the actual content, and they are scanning that for keywords and key terms. So it's no longer just about what you're putting in your caption and a ton of hashtags. And funny enough, Adam Zuri, again, head of Instagram, mentioned that hashtags specifically are no longer really the most important metrics. It's about the relevancy and the quality of your content, which I personally love because this is moving into more of the world of YouTube and Google search, where it's about quality and it's about the actual relevancy of it. And that means you're going to get better content for what you're actually searching for. So what you want to think about when you're creating content on Instagram, specifically things like your reels, your actual carousels, the videos that you're creating and sharing on there, are a few different components. One is the actual caption and the description of it. So what you want to think about here is you don't want just a random caption that has nothing to do with the content. If you are creating a reel, for instance, talking about some of the biggest PCOS challenges for weight loss, then you want to have that highlighted in the actual caption. More importantly, you want to emphasize other key terms or things that you know people are going to be looking for and asking that are relevant to that topic. So for instance, if I'm searching for special recipes for PCOS and somebody has a video or a reel or a carousel talking about PCOS recipes for weight loss, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to see that. And depending on how they're describing it and how they're talking about it, those components are going to be included in the way in which the algorithms are now actually ranking that content. So this might sound a little overwhelming and like a lot of information, but this is actually really important because this means the quality of your content matters. It's no longer just about creating fun dancing reels and focusing on virality and how do you interrupt the scroll, but we're starting to move into a new era of social media content that's focusing on longevity, on quality, on relevancy, and I freaking love that. So one of the things that you'll definitely start to see as we go into 2025 and of course into 2026 is more of my content resurfacing onto Instagram now that this platform is going to be focusing on long-term search. But it doesn't end there, y'all. There is one more really important thing that basically was the cherry on top and sealed the deal for me when I was considering whether or not Instagram is relevant in 2025 and beyond. And that is the fact that Google actually announced a new integration with Meta. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, well, again, a link, a resource in the description down below for you. But essentially, and I'm going to read here the specifics of this, Google recently had the public professional content that you post on Instagram for like your business profile, things like this, is now going to be indexed by Google search. So your Instagram content can now show up on Google search results, reaching a brand new audience off of the app. So let me like just take a moment here, because this is I got goosebumps. Okay, this is a big deal. Your content on Instagram is now being indexed on Google. For those of you who've been along the ride and have been following me for years, this is a big deal. Your content that you're creating is no longer just stuck in the dark abyss of social media. It's now showing up on Google search, which is huge. And I think this is something that's really big because before this integration with Meta, that didn't exist. So your content basically lived on a silo on the platform. Whereas now, because of this integration, because of what's happening here, whatever you're creating on Instagram is also important real estate that's going to contribute to your visibility and getting found on platforms like Google. So this is where it gets really crazy to me, because it's no longer limited to search on Instagram. It's about how the content that you're creating on Instagram is also showing up when people are searching, not on Instagram only, but on Google. Let that sink in. It's a big deal. But the big things that I want to highlight again is Instagram has evolved a lot in the last 10, 15-ish years it's been around. I've had the platform since 2012 when I was still in high school, probably towards the end of my career, and have of course used it for business since 2017. And now we're 2025, it's been another 8-9 years, and the platform is, in my opinion, moving in a really solid direction. I love that it's going towards search. I love that it's actually focusing on relevancy and focusing on quality. And I think it's a really important thing for creators and the business owners, service providers to really think more intentionally about your strategy and how you're creating content on there. Not just for the focus of virality, right? You're not just looking to have a bunch of content go viral, but now you're actually looking at quality. So we'll be creating more content in the series. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I know it was a little longer, so thank you so much for tagging along here and sticking with me. If you did find it helpful, the biggest thing that you can do to support our channel is, of course, give it a beautiful thumbs up. It does make a massive difference, and it takes literally 1 second. Also, if you want to stay tuned on future videos and follow along in this series as we start to go deeper into how SEO on Instagram works, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And of course, you can always turn on notifications so you do get updates every time we post new videos every single week on our channel. Finally, if you're curious about learning more about what we do and how we work, be sure to download our free Built to Scale guide, how to escape the algorithm in 2025 and beyond. And I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!